Hi, my name is Michaela Clementich, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and thank you to my mentor, Sylvia, for all of your help on this project. My project is going to be about creating climate and community resilience in my family's community of Casa de Oro, which is in Spring Valley, California, and that's in San Diego County, for those of you who might not be familiar. So ever since I was a little girl, I've always been drawn to like the outdoors and to nature, plants, animals. So growing up in the city, in LA County, my whole life, and then moving to San Diego 6 years ago, I've been living around a lot of buildings, people, and cars. And so just being able to learn about permaculture and how we don't have to live this way and how we can implement different practices in our lives to be able to I guess go against the grain and live in a more down to earth way, is what I'm really excited about. And just a little bit more about me. I graduated college here in San Diego, and I also met my husband here. So we recently just started a business as well, where we're excited to apply the permaculture principles and make a bigger impact through our business and the work that we want to do. So this is just a picture from this last Christmas of 2021 of myself and my husband and his family. So these are my in-laws, I guess, but I just consider them family. So and then below here you have the two kitties of the house, Annie and Binks. So we are just excited to grow as much food as we can, which will allow us to restore biodiversity and the health of ourselves, and the health of our site as well. So some of our goals, the main thing that we wanted to focus on was producing as much of our own food as we could, but in a way where we're taking advantage of ecosystem services and plants that work together, in their own ways and respecting the flows of nature, basically working with her, not against her. And so using these types of methods to grow food is going to restore our health, the site's health, and allow us to reduce our waste, because most of our waste was food packaging from eating out or the grocery store. And so being able to grow your own food means that you don't have to keep adding all of that waste, since you're not going to the store or going out as much anymore. And we also really want to be able to add components that are going to provide more microclimates and opportunities to help build our soil water retention and soil quality. We're also going to be having an area for basically to spend time with family and loved ones. So having a space for that, where we can also educate people about what we're working on, is really going to be really cool. So here's a macro view of our community in Casa de Oro. And then here's the site where the red marker is. And yeah, so this is the city of Spring Valley. Here is some visuals of the climate. And as you can see, it's really hot for us and kind of humid in the summer. And even though it's humid, it's coming from the ocean that we live near, because we're in San Diego. But the thing is, we don't get a lot of rain in the summer. So that's why building our soil water retention is going to be huge. We want to make the most out of what we have, right? So our site does get a lot of wind from the Pacific Ocean that we live near. And so Spring Valley is in Casa de Oro. It's just a mountainous area with a lot of different terrain. Our site is also on the side of a mountain. So we have a lot of factors that contribute to all of the wind that we have coming our way. And here's how much solar energy we get on a yearly basis. Here's some more, like, just to help you get an idea of what it feels like here throughout the year. Yeah, again, pretty hot and humid. So our house or site is southwest facing. So we have a great position for getting solar energy. Here's my base map with the components. So this is just an overview of what the house looks like and everything that's there. So basically most of this has stayed the same since we've been implementing. Here's the sector. So when it rains, there's a lot of water that comes down and drains into this drain right here. And we have a lot of water coming off of the roof, you know, onto the paths, the concrete path that goes around the house. So when it rains, there's a lot of water collection there, but it can flow off into the vegetation that's off on the side. So that's really good. And we also have in the solid blue lines, all of the incoming winds from the Pacific Ocean that I was mentioning earlier. And you can see the change of elevation in our property, just like on site. But the elevation is shown more when you look on this side from 668 feet here to 661 feet here. Obviously, it has to be more stable for the house to be built right here with less elevation. But yeah, so you can also notice how we communicate with our neighbors here and down here, and we also exchange harvest. Here's the human movement on site. I also wanted to have some active wildlife for basically we have a loquat tree that is always getting pollinated. And so I thought it'd be important to mention that. We have our waste system here that we really are focusing on because one of the goals of this project is to reduce and reuse waste. So whatever waste is going out of the loop is going to be minimized here. So if we have any waste that can be recycled through our community recycling, we're going to put that in the blue bin. Same goes for our my in-laws who live on site. And then there's other recyclables like cans and glass, right, that we can turn in for cash. So both households do that. They also we are both focusing on collecting whatever waste can be composted and, you know, putting that in our compost pile. So so basically my husband and I and his family, we're all contributing, and basically that compost is going to be turned into food and to capital for us. Here's an overview of the microclimates and edges. Yeah, like most of the site is really warm. The coolest part is just like the back of the house. So here we have our zones before, and it's unfortunate, but like, you know, this is why we're doing this project. So beforehand, there wasn't a lot of time spent outdoors. And I guess by the family as a whole. And now when we look at how the zones are, we are expanding. So if we go back, here's zone one. Zone one is expanding to all of the outside. So we're also focusing our project on zone one. So that's going to allow the family to have a space where they can actually enjoy being outside and grow their own food. Sorry, let me move my face. And yeah, just enjoy actually the land that they have and not be inside all the time. So just some more about our neighbors. We have our site right there, and right above we have Grandma Vasquez, you know, on my husband's side. And we have our neighbors, the Walker family right here. So they have citrus trees and an avocado tree where sometimes the branches will grow over the fence. They've allowed us to basically take whatever branches grow over and harvest whatever is on there. So we do get some citrus, so oranges, lemons, and avocados sometimes from them. And Mr. John, who's below us, he actually has a huge piece of land that he is working on, and it's basically his own. He's doing his own permaculture project on his land. So it's really cool to know that he's encouraging us to plant stuff like on fences that cross, that he shares with us. So he's open to collaborate, and I'm excited to uh, share harvest with him once we have things up and running. Just some history about the site. So this is how it looked before. The lot was pretty open with just one house at the top. And then now there's three houses on the lot. So they sold the first house at the top. And now they have these two houses, the one in the middle and the one at the bottom. Grandma Vasquez lives in the middle house, and my husband's family lives in the bottom house. So Grandpa Vasquez basically had these houses built for his family, right? And he created more soil stability by dumping in extra soil from his landscaping jobs over time into this lot so that he could have more to build on. And this is what it looks like now. So thank you, Grandpa Vasquez, for doing that. So these are the species that currently exist on site, and these are mostly ornamental species, just because I know the homeowner, he is a landscaper, and so he really takes pride in like having a beautiful, clean landscape. And so it's been cool to work with him and also show him some permaculture perspectives as well. But that's what currently is there right now, and this blue part that is where we're going to be focusing. So this is this view of the southeast corner, the southwest corner, northwest corner, and the northeast. So yeah, it's just a very open, barren lot, and we're excited to make use of it now. So we have a lot of capital at hand. We have tons of plants, wildlife, soil in different forms, and also waste that we're going to be turning into living capital. So we also are really blessed to have some material capital on hand because so the homeowner, right, my father-in-law, he is a landscaper, as I've said already, and he already has some things on hand just from having that, kind of work. And we also are going to, through this experience, we're going to be growing ourselves by learning how we can take responsibility for the waste we contribute and turn that into actually something that can help us in our community and environment, whatever that is. And it's also giving us another opportunity to work together and to communicate, collaborate, and work through things as a team. We do need a lot of things, but that's okay, so there's a lot of herbs, fruits, vegetables, and other plants that we need to get a hold of. We're going to be getting seeds or bulbs. There's only going to be like 2 plants that I think we're going to like transplant, actual live plants. But we also need to grow our cultural capital. We want to engage more with our neighbors and family and share harvest with our community. We also do need a few material things just to build some of our components. So an overview of our components is fire pit. We have, that's going to be great to share with family, friends, and have barbecues if we want. We can also make our own biochar there. We're going to have a tool shed for more storage and a work table. We have our compost pile that we've been working on. We have pathways to integrate the human flow with our design. We also have our companion plantings and beneficial connections and guilds. So these 2 components are what's going to allow us to maximize our food production while also helping our environment. So as I mentioned just in the slide before, I'm going to be having guilds. So I'm going to be having a total of 5 guilds. And these are all of the functions. So I'm going to be going over these again as I go into each one specifically. Here's an overview of the design. I'm going to be going into this right now more close up, but I want to show you guys what plants already exist in here. So we have the loquat tree back here. We have the fig tree here in the corner, and we have the robolini palms in this front corner right here. So going to Guild 1, which is along the back fence. So the main goal here is to protect our garden from the gophers that come in from the other side of the wall, and they can just cause a lot of damage. And so we don't want to hurt the gophers. You know, they have the right to be here too. So we just want to let them know they're not really invited. And we're going to do that by having our imperial crown and daffodil plants that are going to repel the gophers. And they also are going to suppress weeds since they are bulb plants. Marigold is going to help as well. And there is that fig tree that is there already. So the marigold is actually a great companion plant for that. The yarrow and sea buckthorn are what are going to help attract pollinators and also maintain the soil quality here. So a guild 2 in the front right corner. So this is Guild 2A. So this is the first half of Guild 2. And just in the front part where there is no bed, we have marigold and lavender, which are going to attract pollinators, but also repel pests. And right next to that, we have sage and tarragon, which is some other protection from pests because our dragon fruit is right there. And then we also have a trellis we're going to be putting where you see the dashed lines, a vertical trellis. On that, there's going to be the pinto beans, and that goes really well with the squash right next to it. So there's that. We have also tarragon and lavender in there as well. Oh, just to quickly mention, this is going to help to slow the incoming winds and provide more microclimates with the vertical trellis that we're making, and of course produce food. The same objective is here for Guild 2B, but we're also going to focus on attracting pollinators since we have lavender and rosemary in the front and tarragon there as well. So in the beds with the vertical trellis, we're going to have the green tomatillos and cherry tomatoes that are going to be, if they need support, that's why the trellis is there. And we have basil and garlic to protect them from pests. On the vertical bed right here, we have jalapeno peppers that also are going to have the support from the trellis if they need, and green beans that also have support from this trellised entrance that we're going to create, which is going to connect Guild 2A with Guild 2B. And you can see right here the bigger picture at the bottom. So Guild 3, the main goal of this one is to prevent further erosion. We really want to stabilize the soil here and have more food. So to prevent further soil erosion and to help fix nitrogen, we have red clover, and we also have mint, blackberry, and the orange tree so the mint is going to be protecting the blackberry and the mint and the orange tree. And we have the chamomile who goes well with citrus. On the bottom here, we have blueberry that's being protected by thyme. And the thyme is also going to protect the lemon tree right here. So the trees also help provide more soil stability. Now we have Guild 4, which is split into 2 parts just to help. It was just easier to work with the land this way and kind of make it divide it into 2 parts. So Guild 4A, we have, excuse me, we have sunflower here that is actually naturally occurring. And so we want to support that there. And that's going to provide some shade for our strawberries in the yellow, which go really well with marigolds because marigolds protect them from pests. And the corn here is going to help provide some more shade and windbreak. And the red clover is going to fix nitrogen for the soil. So Guild 4B, we have dill, which is going to repel a lot of pests and also attract beneficial insects, which eat the bad insects or bad insects to us that are in excess. And we are going to pair that with strawberries, which go well with dill. And because the dill also attracts pollinators for the strawberries, and and then the onions also protect the strawberries. Celery doesn't go well with a lot of things, so that's why I put it next to marjoram and onion, which it is friends with. So the main goal here is to have food production and to attract pollinators. So Guild 5 is also going to be for food production and just continuing to have some plants that are taller, which will slow down the wind flow within the garden. Um, so we have serrano, habanero, and poblano peppers here for the shade and slowing the wind flow. And chives, carrots, onions, so those all grow really well together, especially with parsley, because parsley attracts beneficial insects, while onion, repels pests, and chives attracts pollinators, while carrot suppresses the weeds. And so they just all love being really close to each other and growing with each other. And here's so there's a lot of species that we currently already had and that we are adding. And if you have more time, you can after this video, you can look at my slideshow in more detail to see all of the species and take time to look at them. Okay. So now we're in implementation, and this is phase one. So phase one has already been done, and it was just really one thing, just focusing on building our soil, because our soil is the foundation of our life and everything and the food we eat, right? So that was our priority, and our compost pile is so awesome now. And just saying, this is the first compost pile we've ever made, and it's going great. And it's just cool to see how far it's come after the time we've put in and are continuing to put in. So in January, we installed the fire pit with the path going around. We also, in February, bought all the seeds and bulbs needed. We built the plant beds for Guild 2. And this month we are getting done. So we're going to finish these beds by adding the vertical trellises. And then we're going to be building that trellised entrance to combine Guilds 2A and 2B. This is also the guide for how we're going to be germinating and planting or sprouting the plants before we plant them. So this stage is still, needs to be done, but here's just the guide of what needs to be planted first. And then later on in April, we can plant the next group of plants. And this is just a picture of a marigold that we have sprouting. It took 3 days to sprout. It's so cool. Here's the maintenance plan. And John, my father-in-law, lives there, right? So he's going to be there every day. We're all going to be adding compost and collecting that or scraps to add to our compost. But John, especially during the first month, he's going to make sure that all the seeds are being watered enough so they can germinate. And weekly, John, myself, and my husband, we're going to rotate the compost pile, observe the site, add things where they're needed, take things out where they're needed. Yearly, we're going to make sure we collect seeds so that we prepare for the future. And we also want to share our harvest. We want to make sure we're taking notes of what is working and what isn't working, and be realistic about what kind of plan we can implement in the future for next year's growing season. So just some more about the stakeholders who are the homeowners in this situation. So John and Kim are my parents-in-laws. And for them, they really wanted to do this because they, of course, want to grow their own food. It tastes better, and you save some money, and they will, John really loves working with land, so it just worked out like that. They also wanted to just maximize on their empty lot they had in the back, where it was unused space, and it wasn't pretty, it was just kind of an empty lot. So now they can use it and enjoy it, and share that space. So for myself and my husband, I was a designer, and my husband was the builder of this project. And yes, for us, producing food is a huge must, because yes, it's more delicious, and we are so excited to help our environment, but also we want to reduce waste, from buying food out. We want to increase our time outdoors and around family, so we can be at his parents' house more often, because we're going to be helping more often, and just being able to help our environment through growing our own food. Here's a breakdown of the personal boundaries for this project. So John and Kim are the homeowners, so they are also the main funding source of this. And I designed it, and John did some things, where he really wanted those rocks in the fire pit for landscaping, like visual purposes. And so I guess I was more of like the plant design, right? And he was the landscape design. So we also chose the components together, and myself, my husband, and my husband's dad, we all are helping to implement and to maintain. My husband's family, my husband and I, and his grandma, which is the neighbor right above the site, we're all going to be enjoying the harvest from this, what we're going to be implementing. And we want to make sure that we share our harvest with our community as well, and with our neighbors. So this is the harvest flow of what's going to happen first when we collect harvest. It's going to be shared between household one, which is the main site, the household of my husband and I, and Grandma Vasquez. So after we collect our harvest, we want to show how grateful we are to have land of our own, and for the privileges we do have. So because of that, we want to take responsibility of just our contribution to our community. And so our plan is to collect harvest, share that between the 3 households I mentioned in the slide before. And then whatever is overflow harvest, we're going to split that between my husband's family's household and my husband's household. And as you can see here, his family is going to take the overflow to La Mesa Food Distribution Center. And my husband and I, who live a little north, we're going to take the overflow to the Santee Food Bank in our community. So I wanted to give a breakdown of how we governed ourselves for this project, because it was a little bit challenging with all of our different backgrounds and perspectives. It was really important to have someone that knew both of myself and my father-in-law well, so that we could minimize misunderstandings and find a common ground. So my husband played a great role of being the facilitator to communicate ideas during this picture forming stage, from myself to my father-in-law, and from my father-in-law to me. Now, after we had all those initial ideas out, it was time to share our like actual proposals and shape them. And with that being said, we have to make sure we're listening to what the other person is saying and not interrupt them, being open to what they're saying, and the biggest thing for me is really assuming that people have positive intentions, because when I believe that, I'm less likely to assume negatively that they might have other intentions, and respecting people's boundaries while respecting our own individuality is what's going to allow us to come to a conclusion where everyone's needs are being met. And when it comes to actually deciding things, we're going to be looking at what proposals are in the alignment are in alignment the most. And when I say the most, I mean they have to be in alignment with everything here. That so everything all whichever proposals align with earth care, people care, fair share, and our goals of producing food, reusing, reducing waste, improving health, helping our environment, and supporting our community. If a proposal can address all those things, then we're definitely going to decide about including or think about including that in our design in the future. Here's a guide that helped us communicate when we came across conflicts. Just being objective about what we saw and felt, what we need, and I guess like asking someone to yeah, making a request for someone to maybe work with us on something that um we're having a trouble with, and that can be anything. After this is done, we want to make sure that the correct message is getting across, and I think that is easy. That does happen with the Offner process because we're being objective about what's going on. And at the end of the day, we do need to remember we are a team with the same goals. So there's no point in wasting time arguing. And just as a last thing for myself, it's really important to me to just ask these questions, honestly, on a daily basis, just to make sure that I am rooted, I'm addressing my wants and needs, I'm actually taking action to make progress towards whatever it is I'm working on, making sure I'm coming from a place of love so that I can be received the way I want to be received, and attract what I want to attract. Expressing what needs to come out of me and hearing what other people have to say. Also observing my reality as it's happening, not taking things personally. And that one's really hard. I think these are all hard, but yeah, it's working on being a better witness for myself and others, and understanding all the different complexities of myself and people, and learning how to work with all these different flows every day. So this helps me keep my inner landscape in check. And here's just my statement. If you have time to read this later, you can do that. But I'm just so grateful for Permaculture Women's Guild for this platform. And it has truly changed my life and the life of those around me. So thank you so much again. And I wish you the best of luck with all of your endeavors, whoever you are.